Hello, welcome to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell from the B.B. Comer Memorial Library here in Sylacauga. Before I get started, I want to thank TV47 and Chris and all those involved in helping us put on our program, so thank you very much. Today I'm talking about one of my favorite topics, and I think my guest would agree that's one of his favorite. Coach Earl Lewis is joining me this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about Sylacauga, my hometown. And it's not your hometown, but it's where you've grown up for a long time. Yes,
Right.
yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me today,
Well,
Coach Lewis.
Thank you for asking me. I enjoy doing this, so I'm looking
Wow.
forward to it.
I've had you on a time or two before, and I always enjoy it because there's so many things about Sylacauga that you have either been a part of or you know about, and I love to talk about our history.
Well, I do too. And a lot of people don't realize that we have as much history as we do in Sylacauga. But we do have a lot, and it needs to be remembered.
It does. We need to tell it and write it down, which you've done, I know, and to preserve that for our children and everyone else.
Yeah.
What kind of prompted this interview is thinking about the Alabama Historical Association is doing their fall pilgrimage October 27th and 28th here in Sylacauga. So they'll be coming here. They want to know about all the things going on in Sylacauga, our rich history, our just famous big things that have happened here, or small things that have happened here that have made a difference. So that's what made me think about you and Sylacauga history.
Well, I'm glad.
Good,
That's a big deal that they're having here, and they put out that magazine you have with a good story about it.
So keep those dates, October 27th and 28th. Keep those dates on your calendar, and you'll be finding out more information about it pretty soon. All right, one of the things I wanted to ask you is about the 1959 centennial celebration. That means Sylacauga was 100 years old, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, I want to make sure I got my words right. 100 years old. What happened that week?
Well, actually, I guess it was 150 years, because it was, here's the program, and there was, it's from 1834 to 1959.
I should have checked that out better.
I forget that, because there's been 2 or 3 centennial type celebrations here.
Okay.
And this was the first one that I remember, and I think it was the first one that anybody had.
Yes.
And it was, Mandy, it was unbelievable how highly organized this thing was, and what a great job. We had so many civic-minded people in Sylacauga in those days, and it looks like when you look at the list of people that were in this thing, it looks like just about everybody in town was involved. And I told you off the camera before, my wife, as a 11th grader at Sylacauga High School, obviously before she was my wife, but she was one of the Indian dancers when they had a big pageant at the stadium every night for a week, and she was one of the Indian dancers in that, along with a lot of other people you'd know if we read the list.
Oh, I know. One thing I was impressed with is all the people that were involved. You were just talking about a lot of it. So many people in the community, and the whole community turned out, didn't they?
Yes, and people, the ladies made costumes, dresses like the time period that they were celebrating.
Yes.
And the men all grew beards, and I was going to try to find, I've got a picture of the Sylacauga City Council here somewhere, and with all them with their beards, Mayor Ed Howard and Mr. John Gann, and some of those people. I'll find it in a minute, we'll look at it again. But I told you, I guess I'll go ahead and tell this, I didn't start shaving every day till I was 22 years old. Probably shaved once a month or once every week at the most. And they put me in jail for not having a beard one day. They had little makeshift jails all up and down the streets here. And I was walking by one day, some of the men that knew me, and I was like 19, I guess, at the time, and they grabbed me, snatched me, and put me in jail, and I had to pay to get out. So.
Oh, that's just fun.
It was
just
fun.
a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. The whole deal was.
Yeah, I can remember seeing pictures of my parents. I think my mother was in a long dress, maybe with a bonnet. My dad had a beard and a little bow tie, and maybe a top hat or something.
A lot of men had the top hats. Yeah.
How fun!
My mother-in-law to be. Both dressed up. There's the city council. I don't know if they can see that on the camera or not, but there it is. And some of the names people might remember: Barney Phillips, Joe Dart, John Gann, Ed Howard was the mayor, Murray McCluskey, and Earl Atkinson were the councilman at that time.
A lot of names that
Yeah.
I've heard over the
Familiar
years.
to people who've been around a while.
And the pageant, you said, was every night for
Right.
about a week,
Right,
5 or
yeah.
6, 7 days.
And the final night was the biggest one, and they had a big finale there, and it was really great.
That is so much fun. So nice to see the entire community, because I think you said every man grew a beard or he got put in jail.
Yeah.
Every woman just about dressed up, and how fun to celebrate that milestone in Sylacauga. Anything else fun go on that week, or just a lot of activities?
I don't remember everything
Yeah.
because I guess a sophomore in college at the time, but I was coming home on weekends.
You were away.
But anyway, that was a lot of fun. It was.
That is, yeah.
And again, you said it, and I'll say it again. The community spirit in Sylacauga in those days was so great. It still is, but to a lesser degree than it was then. Because they didn't have problems getting anybody to do any of this stuff.
I bet
They
they
had
did.
volunteers coming up saying, I'll do this and I'll do that.
Yeah, because I bet it was. I mean, no one was paid to do anything, probably.
No,
it was
no.
just they wanted to do it to
They
celebrate.
it seemed like there may have been a company that came in here and organized the pageant. And
Right.
I'm sure they had to pay them, but everything else was strictly local people doing volunteer work.
Gosh, that's great. That's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, this is a good place for us to pause. We're going to pause for a commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Coach Lewis.
The Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center offers the senior citizens in the Sylacauga and surrounding areas lots of fantastic activities throughout the week. Sewing, ladies bridge, quilting, game-o-rama, ceramic classes, bingo, travel club, and lots more. It's all at the Maxie Veazey Senior Adult Activity Center located next to the J. Craig Smith Community Center in Sylacauga. Don't spend any more time alone. Get out, make new friends, and have fun.
Coosa Valley Medical Center, one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama, is also Sylacauga's largest employer. Services from the emergency room to surgery to cancer treatment to post-stroke care. You won't believe what's right in your backyard. It's Coosa Valley Medical Center in Sylacauga. So, if you're sick in Alabama, choose one of the top 10 hospitals in Alabama. That is Coosa Valley Medical Center.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm Mandy Cantrell. I'm talking with Coach Earl Lewis from here in Sylacauga. We're talking about Sylacauga history and just some very interesting things that you were a part of, or you witnessed, or you know a lot about. You also do a Sylacauga history program sometimes,
I
don't
do
you?
that for the Leadership Sylacauga
Yeah.
most every year, and I've done it for a couple of other organizations.
I think that's where I saw it, and I
Yeah.
learned a lot. Even having grown up here, I learned a lot from your presentation.
I've had a lot of nice comments from people about those programs because a lot of them are newcomers that are in that, and they learn a lot about Sylacauga when they first arrive here. So.
Was that hard to put together, that program?
It's the hard part of it is I'm terrible as far as technology is concerned, and it's on a PowerPoint, and somebody, if I change it up, somebody has to do it for me, and somebody has to turn
That's
it off
okay.
and on.
That's okay. There's always somebody who can do all of
That's
that,
right.
but you've got the knowledge of Sylacauga history, which most of them or most of us do not have all that.
I've
so.
got more things that we could put on there than there's time to do. So, so that's a little bit of a problem to decide what to do and what to leave
What
out.
to put in. That's true. That's true. You told me you were a Birmingham News paper boy. Back when the Birmingham News came several days a week, right?
It came every day.
Every day.
In fact, there was the Birmingham Post-Herald in the morning and the Birmingham News in the afternoon
That's
at that
true.
time. And some of the boys, I didn't, but some of the boys that were paper carriers did the morning and the afternoon.
Ooh.
And it was tough. I told you off camera this. I've got a little badge here, and I doubt you can see it, that we had to wear as identification people, and that was dated 1951. I started my paper route sometime when I was in the 6th grade. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And I did it all through the rest of that year and the summer and part of the 7th grade. And then I gave it up and did some other things. But I had a paper route just right almost where we're sitting here in the TV studio.
Okay.
I lived about 2.5 blocks from here, and I had the paper route that was in my neighborhood.
Oh.
And it was the shortest route that anybody had, because at that time I was one of the youngest ones.
Okay.
Several of the boys were older than I was.
Right.
And I had only, it varied between, I think, 34 and 40 papers that I delivered every afternoon. And on Sunday morning, when you had to get up early and deliver that big, and we all had to have a heavy-duty bicycle with a big basket that was wide enough for papers to sit down in and stack them. And so you had to have a little equipment. And the headquarters for the Birmingham News office at that time was right across the street from where we were, where we are.
Yeah.
There's an alley there that goes behind Wright Sprayberry.
Yes.
That alley was there, and adjacent to it was the old infirmary and Craddock Clinic.
Right.
And in the back of Craddock Clinic, in that alley, there was a little building that the part of the infirmary that the McCardle family ran. They were the distributors for the Birmingham News, and that's where, and Post Herald, and that's where we came every day to get our papers. And Mrs. McCardle really kind of ran the show, and she was a stern taskmaster. We had to be on time, we had to get through on time, and we better not miss a paper delivering it, because you could get in deep trouble if you did that.
Oh, that's funny. Well, you learned a great work ethic, even at that young age.
It was a good experience.
Wow.
I got tired kind of riding a bicycle to school after the 7th grade, went to Sylacauga High at that time. And I kind of didn't like having to ride a bicycle down to the high school, and that's one of the reasons I quit delivering the papers. Plus, I started trying to play sports a little bit and didn't have time in the afternoon. So.
Well, that is so neat. I can't imagine letting a 6th grade boy do anything like that today.
Well,
but it was a different time.
Well, and like I say, most of them were older. So I have a list somewhere of a lot of the people that did that. I can't remember all of them. In fact, I started writing a story about it one time, and I can't find my notes. They're at home somewhere.
You'll find them.
But Tom Bivin, that a lot of people would remember, who just passed away recently, he was one of the paper boys, and those routes went all over Sylacauga. There were routes that went all the way into the Mill Village and the Walco area, and I think that's where Tom delivered papers, and then all around town here. And I don't know how many, but there were, I'd say, at least a dozen or more paper boys.
Goodness. People read the paper. My parents, I know, took Post Herald, Birmingham News, Daily Home, Advance, all those papers, and read them all cover to cover.
Oh yeah, well I did. I told you I lived in this neighborhood growing up, and when my wife and I had just married and got out of college and came home, we lived less than a block from where we're sitting, right up the hill here. So this neighborhood's been very familiar to me ever since I was 9 years old. So,
I guess. Wow. Well, that's neat. That's fun. I know newspapers don't run, of course, every day or anything now. So we're kind of losing that. Everybody looks to their phone or TV for news. So I kind of hate some of that's gone away. But
I loved it, and I started to say and didn't finish when we lived up here at 111 East 1st Street when Willow Dean and I first got married, and Steve was born when we lived in that house, and Robin was already here, and we took the Birmingham Post Herald in the morning, the Birmingham News at night, and I read every word of it, especially the sports page, but I did read the rest of it too, on both those papers.
Wow, that's neat. That's fun. That's fun. And you also talked about a parking lot. You were like a parking attendant.
I was a parking lot attendant. Now this was when I was in about the 10th grade. And it's next door to the building that we're sitting in, the vacant lot next door to the TV studio is where it was. And it was owned by the Batson family, who also owned Batson's prescription shop right here on Broadway, right around the corner, and it cost 15 cents to park there. And if you stayed all day, it was 15 cents, but if you left and came back, you had to pay the second time. And sometime on weekends back in those days, Mandy, and a lot of people do remember this, Avondale payday was every other week.
Okay.
And on the weekend when Avondale paid off, that parking lot sometime would turn over 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh.
And I had cars parked out all in the middle and around the edges, and made enough money to kind of enjoy being able to go to the picture show 2 or 3 times and whatever. So
how fun.
But I told you real quick, the way Ms. Batson paid me, of course, I had a lot of change, and I kept it in a big jar.
Oh, I bet.
And in the afternoon, when I'd go around the prescription shop to settle up with her, she'd spread all the money out on the counter there, and she'd slide a nickel over to me and a dime to herself and a nickel, and that's how I got paid. If she ran out of change, she'd just go get some more change out of and change over out of the cash register. And,
that's not bad. You made a third of what they paid. So
yeah, that was. Now they had a few full-time parking people there that parked there every day that worked in stores nearby, and they paid them by the month or something. But of the ones that came through every day, and I worked there usually on Friday afternoons after football season and all day Saturday, and during the Christmas holidays, I made good money there during Christmas holidays, because as you know, you don't remember, but downtown Sylacauga was a busy place, and in the 50s when all this was going on, and a lot of people parked in that parking lot because there was not as much parking space available as it is there. And that brings us up to another subject you're going to ask me about.
Yes.
Parking meters.
Parking meters. Yes, I have used them, but it's been a long time.
And we had them on Broadway in Sylacauga for many years. And I think I'm correct is they had them a while, did away with them, and brought them back one time. But anyway, and we had angle parking instead of parallel parking on Broadway. And so Broadway was pretty narrow then as far as we didn't have the truck traffic going through here that we do now. But the parking meters, they had a policeman that rode around on a 3-wheel motorcycle, and he'd mark your card if you were overdue. If a parking meter ran out, you got a little ticket and got to go down to City Hall and pay them. So
that's so funny. Oh, that's because there was no parking behind the stores.
None at all, because they were buildings. There were 2 wholesale warehouses, grocery companies behind between Norton and Broadway, and the old infirmary was between Calhoun and Broadway on this Reynolds on this side of Calhoun, whichever that is. And so there was no parking behind.
And that was the main shopping area.
Oh, yeah.
Was it right downtown?
Right. Several 3-10-cent stores, several clothing stores, a couple of hardware stores. Just a real busy place.
A busy place.
Good old days, man. Those really were. They
were good. That's great. Well, that is so fun to hear about parking meters and your jobs. You've always worked in.
I've had something to do to keep me busy and get a little money ever since I was in the 6th grade. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Well, listen, we're going to pause for another commercial break, and we'll be right back and talk some more with Coach Lewis.
There's a lot in life to smile about. Are loose dentures or missing teeth keeping you from enjoying the things you love? Don't miss out on enjoying life's precious moments. You can be you again with affordable mini dental implants. You can smile again, laugh out loud, and have your self-confidence back. Let us help you make it memorable.
I'm Dr. Rick Redmond. Call me today for a free consultation and give me the opportunity to change your life.
Great. What am I going to do now?
Time to visit Brown's Auto Collision.
No problem at all. We've contacted your insurance company and we can get you back into original condition right away. And I just want to remind you that all of our work is covered by a lifetime warranty. We're done.
Wow, that was easy and looks great.
Brown's Auto Collision,
where quality is no accident.
The all-new Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga is your destination for the highest quality health care. Our remodeled and expanded pharmacy gives us the space to serve more patients. We've added a drive-through window for those times when you don't feel like getting out of your vehicle. And we still offer delivery within city limits. We feature a full line of over-the-counter medications and supplements. And don't forget our stunning new gift department. New building, same great people. Marble City Pharmacy, here for life.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm having so much fun talking with Coach Earl Lewis from here in Sylacauga about Sylacauga history and a little bit about your life growing up here. That was fun to hear. All the things you were involved in. One thing you said that you saw was Jerry Lee Lewis appeared at the rec center.
Right.
Wow.
Mandy, he was going all over the South at that time. That was when he had first begun to get popular. And I don't know, Miss Beth Yates, I'm sure arranged this and had Jerry Lee. And I can't ever remember for sure. It was either the fall right before Wildine and I got married or the fall right after we. That would have been either 1959 or 1960. And he did a performance at the rec center. And we went together. So that's how I put that together those 2 years. But just about every teenager in Sylacauga and some adults were there. And he put on a show like he always did. Everybody's seen him on television, I'm sure, playing the piano with his feet and standing up and dancing around and all that stuff. And as I said, he was just beginning to get popular, and it was a big deal because then 6 months later, he was a national star, and everybody knew him after that.
And you all could say, we saw him when he just got started.
When he was on the way up,
How fun. The rec center was just a happening place back then, wasn't it?
And it was run by Miss Beth Yates and Maxie Veazey, and they did a tremendous job and had all kinds of activities.
How fun. Now, one other thing you had that I wanted to mention about is the first dial telephones. The old dial with
Well, and I'm not sure what year that was either, Mandy, and I've got some old phone books that have got the numbers. In fact, I remember our number was 1309J, and you had to tell them at first. They picked up the phone, the operator said, operator, please, and we said, I want to dial. And in small towns like this, you see it on Andy Griffith's show if you watch it now, but you can say, get me so-and-so, and they know who you're talking about. But then
you knew everybody.
Somewhere along in there, that was in the late 40s or early 50s when I was still just a little kid. But it did go to the dial, and they put the 2 number in front of it first. Just a 2 was the prefix, and then your number. 5, 4, 2, 8, 9. It was ours. And that was a big deal, and everybody was so excited about it because that basically ended the party lines. I think they still had a few party lines, but before that, when you had the voice dialing, we had those party lines, and some of them were 4-party, and some of them out in the country were 8-party lines. And so you had if you picked up the phone, somebody else might be having
with 8 people, I can imagine.
Eavesdrop too.
I bet a lot of that went on, didn't it?
You know it did.
Wow. Well, that was certainly a big change to get to dial telephones. And now, goodness, cell phones. We've come a long way, haven't we?
A long, long way.
Good or bad, I don't know either way. Well, what about, I know a not such a good thing that happened was the 1932 tornado. I've heard about this. It was a pretty
well, of course, I've heard about that one too. I wasn't alive in 1932.
No, you weren't.
People say I'm old as a hill, but anyway. That was a bad thing, man. I believe there were 27 people killed here in Sylacauga. It basically destroyed the south end of Sylacauga from about where the Baptist church is on out toward the Forks, toward Goodwater, Rockford, out that way. That's where it came through. I believe the old elementary school away almost completely. Blew the steeple off the First Baptist Church. A whole lot of houses down on that end of town that were completely demolished. And they set up an infirmary in what is now still called the Oaklawn Inn on Norton.
Yes.
And Miss Wilma Thompson, who a lot of people may remember, was a nurse for years and years and years here. And she told me the story about working in that infirmary that night and how many people came in injured, and it was just a bad scene. And Sylacauga had several tornadoes since then, but that was the worst one. Had one before that in 1910.
Oh,
and
okay.
real quick, we probably can't see it,
Yeah.
but that picture, this is the downtown area that was
Yes.
demolished, and you can't see it on here, but right in the center is a minister with a Bible under his arm.
Oh.
And the story is, it's been told all these years, that he preached a revival the night before and told the people of Sylacauga if they didn't repent of their sins, they were going to have a storm and get blown away. And after the revival was over that night, it blew the warehouse where they were having the revival, blew it away. And,
wow.
So, and that's been told as a true story. I can't confirm it,
Right.
but that's been told as a true story for a long, long time.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds like a good one. That's interesting, though. Wow. Now, you have studied Sylacauga history for a long time. In fact, you have a book. Is that correct? That you and a couple of friends wrote?
Two friends of mine that were high school friends of mine. They were 1 year ahead of me in high school, David Arnold and Peggy Easton. And Peggy had passed away a couple of years ago, but David lives in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and of course I live here. And the three of us teamed up to put this together. It's a pictorial history of Sylacauga. And in spite of who wrote it, it's a very good book. And unbelievably, it's sold over 1,000 copies that I know of.
Yes.
And I still have a few of these, keep these on hand, and the Pickle Patch, the antique store, has them usually. I furnish them for them. So that's the only, there've been 4 books that I know of written about Sylacauga history.
Right.
And this is the only one that's still in print.
Oh, goodness.
We're considering a little bit right now, I say I am, of having this book that Mr. Marion Thurman wrote yesteryear reprinted. We had it done one time several years ago, and it's still in demand. So it really needs to be reprinted sometime.
We need to know our history. And
Yeah.
I've read the one that you wrote. I bought it from us at the library, and I would say, I'm not sure we have any more copies left. Maybe we do, but I know you can check one out, and Mr. Thurman's book also.
And I can get them. In fact, if I need to, I may need to bring a couple and leave at the library.
I will
and
check.
Pickle Patch also. But yeah, it's a good book. It covers the history of Sylacauga about as well as you could cover it in a book that size.
It does. I've read it, so I can vouch for that. Well, listen, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been fun. Thank
I'll
you.
have to have you on again, talk about some more topics from
Okay,
Sylacauga history.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Library Connection.